home of the Confederacy. Woo! Wow. I just want to thank my sister Omilade and the Elegba Folklore Society, to my brother Ricky Martin, and to the Rise Up Virginia. There we go. And I know that there are others who have participated in making my spending this time with you possible. And so I thank you for all that you've done to make this possible. I am so invigorated by seeing so many of our young people here. There's something happening, family. I went out on my first presentation in November of 1986. Brother LeGrand Clegg and Brother Runoko Rashidi invited me to Compton College to do a presentation on William Leo Hansberry, who some of you have purchased the book, the architect for the African Studies program. And so I've been doing this now since November of 1986, so we're into 32 years of my visiting the community. And while I honor and respect all of our elders, many times when I would come out to do a presentation, everybody in the room was probably 50 plus. But now I see our babies coming to these presentations. I am looking at fathers with babies in strollers. I'm watching fathers, mothers, and children coming to these presentations. I'm watching our young people. And so I come with a message of the fact that things are getting better. We may not realize it. We may not think it, but they are getting better. And don't think that 45 makes a difference. He is a blessing in disguise. And so as we move forward, family, I just want us to understand how much I honor and respect you. As you mature, one of the things you come to realize is that the most precious thing that you have is time. If you had someone that had all the money, all the houses, everything in the world on his or her deathbed, and you said, I can give you one thing, and one thing only. They wouldn't want more money, more cars, houses. They say, give me just a little more time. And so I value your time. I value the fact that you have chosen this Friday night to come out to share with us. And so I respect and honor you for that. I respect and honor you for who you represent. Because when I spoke to Sister Omilade and spoke to Brother Ricky 3 years ago when they first brought me in, I began to do research on Richmond. I'm from Bronx, New York. And so my understanding of what this community has experienced, there is a spiritualness in Richmond that is very powerful. The power is here. And while our experiences on the negative tip, which many of them were, the fact that we're still here is cause for celebration. Because despite and in spite of everything that happened, we're still here. And while there's many things that we have to work on to make things better, the fact that we are still here is such a phenomenal advantage for us. And so I come with a message to understand that from a cosmic perspective, because that's where I like to come from. I like to come from a cosmic perspective. Because when you come from a cosmic perspective, the time that we're in right now is irrelevant to how long we actually have been around. Because in the African tradition, there is no such thing as death. It doesn't exist. Conception, birth, death are doorways to the eternal temple of immortality. And there's a pattern in the tabernacle that we live. And it's very real. Bob Marley say, you know, there's a natural mystic in the air. If you listen carefully, you will hear. Have no fear for atomic energy. because none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. From our prophet, Bob Nestor Marley. Dr. Martin Luther King said, I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. I may not get there with you. Now, how did he know on April 3rd, 24 hours later, he wasn't going to be around? But he wanted us to know that night that we as a people are going to get to the promised land. So whenever you have your doubts, whenever you have your worries, now, don't worry about it. We are going to get to the promised land. But you know, I have a feeling back in the day before Eurasians existed, our ancestors in Kemet or Egypt and Kush, Ethiopia, viewed the world from a certain perspective. And the Creator decided that y'all know heaven. You think you know hell. You talk about hell, the lake of fire, but you don't know hell. So I'm going to pull a group of y'all out, and I'm going to place y'all in hell. And when I do that, when you write about hell, you'll be coming from an authentic position because you are going to know hell. Because I'm going to put the devil right in the middle of you. And I'm going to make you understand what it is. See, you can only understand hell because you understand heaven. So he took us out of the pyramids and he put us on the plantation. Right here in Richmond. Long before we got to the Bronx, we were in Richmond. Long before we were in Richmond, we were in the Caribbean. The great majority of us came via the Caribbean. So we're all related as a people. Some of us came from South America. And let me tell you something else. Some of us who are of African descent, you're African not because of the transatlantic enslavement process. You're African because your ancestors were here 120,000 years ago. Let's be real. Native Americans don't particularly care for this conversation that I have because the Cherokee and the Choctaw would like to believe that they're the indigenous people. But honestly, they're the fifth migration. They came a couple thousand years ago during the Mongoloid invasions that pushed them south. But long before there were 4 other migrations to the American hemisphere, of which the Paleo-American, which was straight up African, was here first. And for thousands of years, they were here. And then came a taller stature African known as the Clovis Folsom. We find remnants of them in New Mexico, in Clovis Folsom, New Mexico. And then the third were the Algonquin. They were another form of brown people, still part of the African tradition. Then came the Inuit, who we call the so-called Eskimo. And then came the Asian migration that joined the gene pool, and that is what made the people, when the European came here, he called them what? There was such a distinction in their complexion, the European called them the red men. Well, you don't get red unless you got some black up in you. And the coloration was so distinct when the indigenous people looked at them, they said, oh, that's a pale face. So there was a distinct difference in the complexion. But we don't know our history because when someone tells a perfect lie, the truth is unbelievable.